Hello lovely, so today we'll be making a halter neck top, and without wasting much of our time, we'll go straight down to the business of today. So first thing first, I'll take my neck depth, and I'll take my neck depth all the way down this way, and my neck width of 3 inches, and this is what I've done. And I'll just rule to make sure my lines are straight and accurate. Okay, so now I'll impute my shoulder measurements. So impute yours and do the same as I'm doing, and I'll just come over this way, and from this point I'll come down by my armhole measurements, and I'll make sure my lines are straight. So I'll just do this. Now because it's a top, what I'll be doing, there will be no need for my bust darts because it's a top. Okay, so there will be no need for my bust darts. So this is what I have for my armhole, my shoulder slope, and others. So now what I will just do here is for me to impute my top measurements. I'll just go over and impute my top measurements. Okay, and at this point I'll impute my bust measurement this way, and I'll have impute my waist measurement also, because I want it a little bit shapy. Okay, I want it a little bit shapy. So the next thing to do is to impute my hip measurements. So my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch, that is what I imputed. So I'll just rule over this way. Rule over this way, and now my waist measurements. So I'll check what I have left at this point, and that's what I will just use to shape my. So I have this, and at my hip line, remember to come up by 2 inches before you shape. So this is what I have at this point. Okay, so now because I'm not putting a dart, if we are putting a dart at this point, we'll be using the remaining part. So remember, I'm not putting a dart, so this is what I will just do to shape my front pattern. So we are cutting out this part of it, so this part will be cut out. So make sure your bust remains the same. So at this point I'll just get my midpoint. I'll get my midpoint, and I'll just connect to meet my lines. I'll come in by 0.75 inches, and I'll connect this way. So now this is what I have at this point. Okay, so because it's an halter neck line, there is something I need to do at this point. Okay, so this is my neck line. At this point, this is my neckline. So this is my neck. So what I will just do is, for me, I'm doing this. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'll just connect to meet this point. This is what I have. This part will be going out. Okay, this part will be going out. So because this one have passed our actual armhole area, we need to contour it, because if we do not contour this area, that means our armhole will be gaping. So to avoid that gap, what I will just do is to rule a line this way and get half of an inch at this point and connect to meet this line this way. So I'll be closing this dot. Okay, I'll be closing this point this way. So by the time we are done sewing our top, we'll see that there will be no gap at this area at all. So we are closing these parts because we want to avoid any gaping at this area. So make sure while doing this contouring, this part is well arranged. Okay, so we'll just tape it down. So by the time we are done taping it down, I will reconnect my lines to make sure my lines are well connected. Okay, so this is what I will just do at this point. So this will be my line for the front. So at this point, I can even use this for my back and front by just imputing my measurements here, my 1 inch for my back shoulder, so this pattern will be used for my back and my front shoulder. So now at this area, because I don't want any rough edge, what I'll just do at this point, I'll just go up by 1.5 inches this way and I will connect to meet my lines this way. So this is what I have at this point. So I'll go over and cut it out. So first thing first, I will just cut this out because this will serve from my back. So I'll cut out my back pattern first before I'll cut out my front pattern. Okay, so this is what we have, and at this point I'll be cutting my patterns. Okay, and I don't want to cut it on a straight pattern. So what I will just do, I will fold this way. So now I'm done arranging my fabric. Okay, my pattern paper is on my fabric. So what I'll just do, I'll go over and add my folding allowance at this point. Okay, so I'll just add my folding allowance at the edge of my fabric. So now at this side, what I'll just do, I'll be adding 1.5 inches. Those will be for my seam allowance and my ease allowance. Okay, so this is what I have at this point. So this is my seam allowance and my ease allowance. So at my armhole area, what I'll just do, I'll be adding half an inch all the way round. I'm adding half an inch, so I'll just add half an inch. Now because I want a clean finishing, you see this part of it, what I'll be doing, I'll make sure I will use a facing to turn it. So this is what I have at this point. So I'll be cutting out this part. After cutting out this part, that is when I'll now cut out my front pattern. Okay, so let's just follow through. This is my allowance. You know, I'll be fixing a button at this point. So at this point I'll be fixing a button. So what I'll just do is to make sure my button line is well ruled out. So now I'll be cutting out my pattern. So this is what I have here. So I'll just take out my back pattern. Make sure it's well arranged, okay? So now what I'll just do is to cut out my pattern this way. So at this point I'll also add my 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this is what we have. So I will just go over and measure this way. Measure this way. As you can see, what I have here (5.4 inches), and I will also measure my back. Remember not to add your allowance, your zipper allowance, or will I say button allowance. So I will just go over and measure this way. So what I have here is 4.25. So first thing first, you have to measure your neck round. Okay, you just measure, use tape and measure your client's neck round and know how many inches it is. So when you measure your back and you measure your front, you know what the inches you are using. So that is it for this top part. So next thing to do is for me to just go over and cut out my facing for the back and the front. You can just cut a strip of 1.5 inches and use it to turn this area, okay, if you want it that way. So that's it. Just stay tuned for the sewing part of this tutorial, okay? For now, bye bye.